Have you ever noticed that one negative thought can ruin your entire day? What if you could stop that thought before it takes over? Let me tell you why. You're watching. I'm going to start off with actually something that happened to me a few days ago. And this is what I mean by negative thinking. So the other day, we actually had a plumber at our house, and he was fixing 3 sinks and 2 toilets. And he had asked our landlord if she could ask us if he could work here without anybody here. That way he can get the job done and all that, and not have to worry about being distracted or nothing like that. He just wanted to be able to do his job and not be distracted, which is fine. Cool. Okay. So I was at work. My wife took our dog with her and put our 2 cats in the dog's cage. So they were out of their way, or out of his way, and that way we didn't have to worry about them getting out. And I get off work, and about 5:30 rolls around. He's been here since like 9:30 in the morning doing this. And he texts me around like 5:30 at night because I'm over at my mom's sitting with my wife, my son, and my mom. And he says, "Hey, man, I'm done. You guys can go home now." Like, okay, cool. Well, we get home, and our cats are not in the cage where they're supposed to be. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, maybe he let them out. And we start searching around the house, and we found one of them, but we could not find our black cat, which is very scary for us because there are some people out there that are very skeptic about black cats. And if you are one of them, I'm sorry. But we love our black cat with everything in us. We love him to death. His name is Lucy. And we thought the worst immediately because we searched the entire house for him and could not find him at all. And we started thinking that maybe he had done something to our cat. And so I'm calling him up. I'm like, "Hey, man, I was just wondering if you let our cats out. We noticed that they wasn't in the cage when we got home. And we're sitting here trying to find one of our cats, and we can't find him anywhere." He's like, "Man, I didn't even know you had cats." I was like, "Well, I did text you and tell you that our cats were put up in the cage." And he's like, "Man, I wasn't even paying attention to nothing like that." He said, "I was just doing my job." He said, "Don't be calling me, accusing me of stuff." I was like, "No, man, it wasn't like that. I wasn't trying to accuse you. I was just trying to figure out if you would let our cats out because our cats were not in the cage when we got home." And I think I upset him, and I didn't mean to. And we're sitting here looking everywhere for him, and we cannot find our cat. So I texted him. I said, "Hey, man, I still cannot find our cat. My wife's getting ready to call the Humane Society and have his tracker or his chip tracked. That way we can try to find him." Because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, if he did take our cat, he's going to get scared and bring our cat back because he's going to know that there's a tracker on him. Why would I do this? Why would I text him and tell him that, knowing that this plumber has to come out again around the first of the month to replace our water heater because we have well water? So I think that I upset him, and hopefully he still comes out, and hopefully he don't see this podcast because then he'll know what was going through my mind. But the thing is, about 10 minutes later, we found our cat under the couch, and I have looked there at least twice, and then I felt like crap. So yeah, negative thoughts, it can take over your mind so fast. And this is why I do this podcast, to help not only myself build, but to also help you build. And today we're going to be learning about the power of your thoughts and breaking the cycle of negative thinking. So first off, I want to say thank you for letting me tell my story. And it just shows that I am real with you guys, and this is stuff that I learned from too. And I've been working on myself for a long time, and even with me doing this mindset stuff, everybody still does it. And all we can do is learn from those mistakes that we do and try to build. And that's why I think it's very important for all of us to remember that every single person has negative thoughts. It doesn't matter who you are, how successful you are, or how confident you seem on the outside. We all have moments where our minds try to convince us that the worst is about to happen. And that's just point blank. The problem isn't having negative thoughts. The problem is believing every negative thought that comes to our minds. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to assume the worst? Maybe someone didn't text you back. Immediately your mind starts asking questions. Did I do something wrong? Are they mad at me? Did I say something I shouldn't have? And then hours go by and you find out their phone died. They were working. They were taking a nap. Nothing was wrong at all. But your mind has already written an entire story that wasn't true. I think we've all been there. Our minds are incredibly powerful. The same mind that can convince us we're going to fail can also help us accomplish amazing things. The question is, which thoughts are we choosing to feed? Why do we think this way? There's actually a reason that this happens. Our brains are wired to notice potential problems and danger that helped our ancestors survive. Which it sounds completely crazy, but it's very, very true. But today, it can also make us focus on worst case scenarios, even when there's very little evidence that they're true. Think about it this way. Imagine you're walking through a parking lot at night, okay? And you hear a loud noise. Bang, okay? Your brain immediately wants to figure out, am I safe? Okay? That's a helpful response. You know, you want to know that you're safe. But sometimes our brain treats everyday situations like they're emergencies. A difficult conversation, a mistake at work, a bill that you was not expecting, a disagreement with someone you love. Instead of slowing down and thinking clearly, our minds jump straight to the worst possible conclusion. And what's really crazy about this is exactly what I meant by my story, is how we thought that this plumber had stolen our cat. And that's what I mean by our minds immediately jump to something bad happened. And what's really, really crazy about this is it's something that we can't control. But the good news is, just because your brain has a thought doesn't mean that that thought is true. You have the ability to stop, look at the thought, question it, and decide whether it's are helping you or hurting you. That takes practice, but it's a skill anyone can develop. I'm going to give you 5 ways to break down the cycle of negative thinking. Number 1, ask yourself, is this actually true? One of the most powerful questions you can ask is, what evidence do I have that this thought is true? Sometimes you realize you don't actually know the answer. You're making assumptions. When that happens, don't let assumptions become facts in your mind. Okay? Number 2, and a lot of people say that this is absolutely crazy for somebody to actually do. And it makes you look weird. And people make fun of you for it. But the thing is, if they knew that this actually helped them, they would understand that this next one could really change their lives as well. So don't be discouraged when I tell you, change your self-talk. Okay? Pay attention to the words you use with yourself. If you constantly say, I'm not good enough, I always mess things up, nothing ever works out, eventually you start believing it. Okay? Instead, try saying, I'm still learning. I made a mistake, but I can improve. I've overcome challenges before, and I can do it again. The words you repeat become the thoughts that you believe. Okay? So, I want you guys to really think about that for a minute. And I'm going to use a really good example. So, as you know, this podcast is built around building the mind, and my channel is called Boss Dad Entertainment. And I want, and a lot of you are probably dads that are probably watching my podcast. If you look at your kid, and they had just spilt a thing of milk, is your thought to immediately be like, oh my God, really? You really just did that? Blah, 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 blah. You know, or are you going to be like, hey man, it's all good. You know, we'll just clean it up and it's all right. You know, just try not to do it again. Okay. Or you look at your son or your daughter and they just created the best art that they can possibly create. Are you going to look at them and be like, that painting sucks? And what's going to happen? Your kid is immediately going to break down and start bawling their eyes out and thinking that they're not good enough, blah, blah, blah. Is that really what you're going to say to them? Absolutely not. You're going to look at them like, wow, this is really good. You did an amazing job. Good job. Why don't you talk to yourself like that, though? Why don't you look at yourself and be like, hey, you did an amazing job on that? Why do you always got to put yourself down and say, well, I'm not good enough. I can't do this anymore. That's what I mean. Build yourself and talk to yourself how you would talk to your kid if they just created that amazing painting. That's what I mean. Number 3, focus on what you can control. Okay. We spend so much time worrying about things outside of our control. What someone thinks, what happened yesterday, what might happen in a month. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do today? Even one small positive action can help shift your mindset from worry to progress. Okay. Um, and a good example of this is, let's say, uh, you're struggling a little bit this month. Okay. You're struggling with your bills, blah, blah, blah. And you're worried if you're going to have a place to live next month. Okay. So instead of thinking about that now, worry about what's happening in front of you at that moment. And most of the time, I've even noticed in my life as well, especially in these last 3 months, that I have been doing this whole mindset thing and everything. And I was at a point where I would get so stressed out, and I'm so surprised that I have not ended up having a heart attack. And I'm being dead serious with you guys. I'm honestly surprised that I have not had a heart attack at all. And because I have a bad way of stressing myself out. And these last 3 months that I've been working on myself have really, really, really helped me. Is focusing on now. And one of my favorite quotes, and I also get this from my mentor as well, is be here now. He actually has it on his wrist, and I'm thinking about doing it myself. And because it really means a lot to me as well, is be here now. Be in the moment that you're in right now. Don't worry about what's going to happen in 3 days or a month from now. Focus on where you are right now. And most of the time, things work its way out as long as you do what you have to do to help make it work out. If you just give up, you're going to fail. And that's just point blank. But if you do what you have to do and be like, hey, I got to fix this. And even if it's so bad that you're struggling, and no, I'm not sponsored by this, there are other ways that you can actually make money. And even if you have to figure out other ways to make money, DoorDash is an option. You can make good money doing DoorDash if you have to make a few quick bucks. And I'm not sponsored by DoorDash or anything like that, but I am a DoorDash driver. And if you have been keeping up with my content for a long time, you'll know that. And DoorDash really does help out, especially if you don't have a job, or you're just need a quick couple bucks to put some food on the table for your family or whatever. DoorDash is an option. So if that's what you need, then go out and do it. And most of the time, things will end up working out for you. So be here now instead of stressing yourself out so bad, worrying about what's going to happen next. As long as you focus on now, most of the time things will work out for you. And that's just from where I'm coming from experience. So just calm down, relax, and fix it. You'll get there. I promise. Number 4, practice gratitude. Okay. This doesn't mean pretending life is perfect. Yeah, my life's so good. Yeah, I mean, I'm living my best life. Yeah, no, that's not what I mean. It means intentionally noticing what's still good. Okay. At the end of each day, try writing down 3 things that you're thankful for. They don't have to be big. Maybe you had a good meal. Maybe someone smiled at you. Maybe the person that you liked smiled at you today at work or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe you got to spend time with your family. I love spending time with my wife and my son. And the time that I do get with them after work, especially after my wife gets on, I cherish every moment of that. And I absolutely love spending time with my family. Gratitude helps us remind us that even on difficult days, there are still good things worth noticing. And that's the things that we, gratitude, that we practice with gratitude. Um, so cherish your moments. And it'll be it'll be a lot better for sure. Number 5, fill your mind with positive things, okay? Because the people you spend time with, the videos you watch, the music you listen into, the books you read, the conversations you have, the podcasts that you listen to, even including mine, all of these shape the way that you think. And if you're constantly surrounded by negativity, it becomes much harder to stay positive. And I've recently started noticing this in a lot of the music that I loved listening to. And a lot of the music that I grew up listening to, Eminem. I love Eminem to death. Don't get me wrong. I love Eminem. When I was really little, I even dyed my hair blonde. I asked my mom if I could dye my hair blonde, which sounds absolutely crazy nowadays. But anyway, the thing is, um, a lot of the things that you watch or read or anything, that's putting stuff in your head. And it's crazy to think about, but it's the truth. And it can be negative, it can be positive, and you really got to open up your mind and know that, hey, this thing's bad for me. This is corrupting my mind. Or this thing's really good for me, and I'm learning from this. I'm becoming a better version of myself, or, stuff like that. And it really does help. Some things help, some things don't. And it's just what it is. If you protect your mind the same way you protect your body, uh, feed it with things that help you grow. Okay. And here's a mindset fact of the week for you. Here's something interesting. Psychologists, I can't never pronounce that word. They often talk about something called the negativity bias. Negativity bias. There we go. It means our brains naturally, I cannot talk now. Naturally, pay more attention to negative experiences than positive ones. And after thinking about that, I was like, holy crap, they really do. And that's one reason why one criticism can stick with us longer than 10 compliments. Meaning, let's say, and I'm not saying this about any of you, but let's say somebody calls you fat, okay? You're gonna remember that. And that's gonna eat you alive. Even after you get 10 compliments after. I'm like, I didn't mean that. You're beautiful, you're smart, you're loving, and you're gonna think back like, no, they just called me fat, you know? You're gonna keep thinking about that one. And that's just because our mind thinks that way. Like, just because you said something now doesn't mean that that helps in that moment when you just said this to me. You know what I'm saying? So the encouraging part is that we can retain our attention by regularly practicing gratitude, challenging negative thoughts, and looking for evidence instead of assumptions. We can become a better version at noticing the positive as well. Growth doesn't happen overnight, but every healthy thought is another step in the right direction. Okay. Um, so a simple exercise that you can actually start today. I'd like to teach you something that has really helped a lot of people. Okay. Whenever you notice a negative thought, write down these three questions. Number one, what am I thinking? Number two, is that is this thought based on facts or assumptions? And number three, what's a healthier, more balanced way to look at this situation? You don't have to ignore reality. You simply want to make sure you're seeing the whole picture instead of the negative parts. Okay. And I have actually done this myself. I actually use this book right here. This is a book that I got from Spirit Halloween. And this book is my Building the Mind book. I write all of my chapters in here, or everything that I want to talk about and everything that I'm learning all goes in this book right here. So it does help me. So I'm sure it'll help you. So if you wanting to do something like that, and if you guys are watching on YouTube, you did just see the book. If you're listening to this podcast, you could always go back and look at this on YouTube. But yeah, it really does help me out a lot. Being able to write things down and and so forth. Um, so here's my challenge for you for the week. For the next 7 days, I want you to keep a small notebook, just like I showed you here, or use the Notes app on your phone, or yeah, use your phone, or you can even write it down. I prefer writing this stuff down for me, because writing this stuff down, kind of like how I just showed you in my notebook, each episode that I record, I write down like the things that I want to talk about and all that stuff. The reason I do that is because writing stuff down helps you a lot more than using your cell phone. And I'm going to be talking about stuff like that in later episodes about why writing things down is actually better than putting it in your phone and stuff like that. Stuff that you're wanting to learn, stuff like this, or things that you're wanting to remember is better writing down than putting it in your phone. And I'll go more over that here soon. But each night, write down 3 good things that happened today. One negative thought you had, and one healthier thought you could replace it with. At the end of the week, go back. Oh, wait. 3 good things that happened to you today. One negative thought that you had, and one healthier thought you could replace it with. Write those 3 things down. Okay. And at the end of the week, go back and read what you wrote. I think you'll be surprised by how much your perspective actually changed, because you wrote these things down and now you're looking at it a whole different way a week later. Just saying. Try it and see if it works for you. It does for me, and I've done it. So I want to start with every episode that we do here for the Building the Mind. I want to give you a really good quote of the week kind of thing. Something that it really inspires me. Quotes that really inspire me, and I hope they inspire you as well. So this quote is, "Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you water will grow. If you water fear, fear grows. If you water hope, hope grows. Choose carefully what you're feeding your mind." Now take a second and let that sink into you. Really think about that quote, because that quote has a lot of power in it. And especially with the way that you're wanting to build your mind, which is why you're here watching this podcast right now. And it really does help a lot with the whole mindset thing. It really does. It's touching for me, and I actually look up to that quote now. I love that quote. So question of the week. I want to hear from you guys. What's one negative thought you've struggled with? And what's one healthier way that you can respond to that thought? Leave a comment wherever you're listening or watching. Your story might encourage someone else who's thought the same thing. And as we wrap up today's episode, I want you to remember this. Not every thought deserves your attention. Okay? Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every fear deserves your belief. And not every doubt deserves your energy. Okay? You are stronger than your worst thoughts. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are not trapped by your past. Every day you have a choice. Okay? You have a choice. You can keep believing the thoughts that you hold back, or you can start building the new thoughts that move you forward. That's why this podcast is called Building the Mind. Because every positive habit, every healthy decision, every encouraging thought is another brick in the foundation of the person that you're becoming. I want to thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. If this episode encouraged you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you're enjoying this journey, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel as we continue growing together every other Saturday with this podcast. Until next time, remember, every great life starts with one great thought. Keep building your mind, and I'll see you in the next episode. I love you guys. Peace.